Alright, I have no time for jokes. I got two comics to review, one of which is a digital, so let's get this going because I have to pee. I'll grab it. Roll the intro. Whew, that felt good. Hello there, and welcome to The Only One, your one-stop shop for #1 comic reviews. And boy, am I spiffy today. Since last time, I tackled 2 issues of Heroes in Crisis, and I sort of cheated because, well, one was a number 2. I thought I'd try and catch up on the what-ifs that I said I would review, so I'm gonna go through 2 of them. The first one, which I may have flashed for a bit before, is What If Flash Thompson Became Spider-Man? And I got a physical version of it. The other one is What If Thor Was Raised by the Ice Giants? I will be going into spoilers, so before we move any further, if you'd like to read them, these books both get the old thumbs up. They are both great in their own right. Thor actually took me another run to read, just like The Punisher. I don't know if it's my fault, if I'm tired, or the books just don't work with me at the first go. They're both amazing, they both tackle some great subjects, so heading right in, spoilers, go read them if you want, come back later, if not, glad to have you here. Let's dig into this. Starting with What If Flash Thompson Became Spider-Man, I will be flashing the info of the authors on screen because I don't want to butcher that. I think it's Olortegui, but I'm not sure, so better keep it that way. Flash Thompson becomes Spider-Man. Interesting premise. This book has ties to a historic Spider-Man number 33. Even more interesting. Here's how it goes. Puts you right into the action. Just a few shots of Peter Parker taking pictures of Spider-Man, this time not having his camera hung from buildings and lampposts and stuff. Then we get right into a big battle where Spider-Man tackles some baddies. It is not the Spider-Man we know. Flash Thompson is very much, well, he's not a... What am I trying to say here? Flash Thompson is very much an asshole. He's a dick. He is a bona fide cunt, you might say. And this comes across not only in the way that he goes full on against the bad guys, but the way that he reacts to Peter Parker being there as well. He insults him, and the insult he uses is it's like oozes, but when you use the ooze to... Never mind. The insult he uses is puerile, and I thought it was a bad stylistic choice at first, but then it made sense. And I'll come back to this later on. The idea here is that Flash Thompson got bit by the spider. He actually stops the thug who would then have gone on to kill Uncle Ben, so Uncle Ben is alive for this comic book. It's also narrated by Nick Fury in the form of the Unseen, who resides in this time-space plot of land and can see each and every Marvel universe that exists at any time in these sort of crystal ball-like balls that float around him. I thought that was a neat addition to this because the conflict is very much like street level, ground level. There are very few, well, there are not very few action scenes, but the ones that are there don't take you out of it, just pushing you into space or anything, or bringing in gods and the like. It's just run-of-the-mill Spider-Man stuff. That's good, don't get me wrong. The idea here with asshole Flashhole, I like that, Flashhole, is that he became a hero by choice. He dropped out of school. He wanted to get the adulation that he considered the crowd would give to a hero, and the way that he conducted himself did not garner him that attention and that adulation. So this frustrates him, and he has a lot of pent-up anger and rage and resentment within him. We see that Aunt May is ill. The same illness that ails her in Spider-Man number 33. She needs a certain isotope to survive. She's in hospital, and Peter places a tracker on Spider-Man, and he does this in the first few pages of the book. So when he learns that the shipment of this isotope was stolen, he decides to ask Spider-Man for help. And he tracks, well, he follows the signal of his tracker, and he ends up at Spider-Man's abode. I guess it's Flash Thompson's trailer, because he lives in a trailer park. Apparently being a hero doesn't pay well, especially in the What If universe. So Flash comes home. He has this short conflict right outside his home with another resident of the trailer park. He goes full Flash hole. So he gets even more pissed about not being able to tell people who he is. And then he goes into the trailer. Peter's there. Flash gets full on angry at him. And all of that pent up rage and anger and frustration just bubbles up, and he lashes out at Peter and punches him clean across the trailer park. Well, not the trailer park, but the trailer itself, although he probably would have flown across the trailer park if there weren't a back wall in the way, into which Peter smashes and sadly dies. Now, Peter had asked Flash for his assistance with the isotope, with Aunt May's condition, and it's at this moment when Flash Thompson has done the unthinkable. Right? He thinks of himself as a hero, and he has just killed an innocent, which is kind of bad, like on any scale, right? It's at this moment where he has a sudden realization, and he starts to work towards making amends. He starts to work towards redemption. He tries to convince himself that he's still the good guy. He goes on to try and get this isotope for Aunt May and help her. And we have next one of the... So during this time, there's Fury also narrating bits and pieces and coming up with some words of sage advice that work well, and they fluff everything up. They give it more context, they give it more substance, and even though the conflict is grounded and very simple, the fact that Fury's there as this otherworldly being speaking of destiny and all manner of teachings, even from his army days, just adds a great veneer on top of it. I love that. That really worked for me. So going back to what I was saying before, there's this awesome page that transitions from the ethereal plane through one of these crystal balls and into basically the Marvel 616 of the What If series. And there's a ton of action going on there, and there's, again, the narration flows very well, and it's this, everything just worked for me. Everything just clicked on this page, and this is my highlight of the book right here. So the art is very competent, the story is very well told. It's very short, but that doesn't really take away from it. The story itself is short, but the idea that it puts forward, again, could have been developed as it was with the Punisher. This could have gone on for a while with Flash, and while, again, I would like to see it, I don't see this as a negative in this book. There are very few negatives for this book. I don't even know what bothered me, if anything, reading it. So Flash finds out who's behind the whole isotope theft, and it's Doc Ock, and they have a face-off. Flash defeats Doc Ock, and the ceiling on this building collapses on them and on top of Spider-Man, which mirrors what happened in Spider-Man 33. If you were as big a comic book aficionado as myself, you would instantly know what happened. Or you'd go to Google and find out like I did, because one of the panels reminded me of something I'd seen before, so I went ahead and found out what it was, and it was actually Spider-Man 33. So I'm not that savvy in comics, as I mentioned at the beginning of this series, but I know iconic shots when I see them. And we reach one of those shots as Flash is struggling to pull himself up from under the debris of, the building. As he is pushing against this immense weight on his shoulders, he is going through a transformation. And while we had, in Spider-Man 33, we had, I hope it's 33, I really hope it's 33. I also hope I'm remembering this right, because otherwise, bad time to be me. So let's just keep going and not check. What's the worst that can happen? So as he's trying to basically save himself from under all of this debris and the weight on his shoulders, literally on his shoulders, he is going through what he's done, and he realizes that he's not a hero, as this full page says in big, bold letters. It's again an awesome rendition of the well, not a rendition, not an exact rendition, but an imitation. I don't want it to come off as a bad thing. This is a really cool idea. So Flash goes from thinking about his past and thinking about him being a bully and being a killer and realizing that he is not a hero, but if he works hard enough and long enough at it, he may still have a shot to one day be a good guy. So this is a story about redemption, but the beginning point of redemption. Like this, these are a bad, a bad guy's first steps towards saving themselves, and this is great social commentary without being political. This is everyone, well, maybe not everyone, because you haven't killed anyone, but you have to see the metaphor here. Don't take it literally, all right? That's what we have to know about comics and entertainment in general, is that you can learn things from these great pieces, and you can separate fiction from reality. So it all ends with the idea that Flash is no longer a flash hole, and he will work towards getting better, and he actually turns himself in. Unfortunately, Peter's dead, so May finds out. May gets her treatment, and Uncle Ben's there to comfort her as she finds out that Peter is no longer with them. So great emotional end. Flash working towards becoming better. Fury narrating the whole thing from this space-time spot. Great comic, great writing, great dialogue. The art works. It's I guess the backgrounds aren't the most spectacular things I've ever seen, although there are a fair few spreads and detailed bits that that stand out. But all in all, just a great, solid comic right here. Next.